meeting to order. Welcome to the 2019 Haysboro AGM. Thank you everyone for coming out on a really lovely night. I think I would rather be digging in the garden, but I'm super happy to be here with all of you. So Haysboro's name is derived from those who settled and prospered from the land. With the proximity to the Elbow River Channel and the significantly important Weaselhead area, our community is part of a much larger history. Rooted in people and relationships, with a desire to come together, build community, and care for this land, the Haysboro Community Association acknowledges the traditional territories of the people of Treaty 7 region, which include the Blackfoot Confederacy, the Siksika, the Kainai, and the Kainai First Nations, as well as Tsuut'ina First Nation, the Stoney Nakoda, including the Chiniki, Bearspaw, and Wesley First Nations. This is also home to the Métis Nation of Alberta, Region 3. So, if you picked up your package from the back, you will have an agenda for the evening. You have a copy of the 2018 minutes. You'll have the financial statements from our past year, and you will also have the very last Treasurer's Report from Miriam Mitchell. So, just so you know, for the evening, there are items on the agenda that we do need to make motions for and vote on. To help speed up, any of the motions and seconds have been scripted to the current board, so no one has to do those off the cuff. But if you are given a voter card, you do then get to vote on that motion. So there's no need for any seconds from the crowd. That will all come from the board, and it just kind of keeps us going fast. And Stefan, our secretary, doesn't have to write extra names in or figure out last names. It just keeps us going. So, that being said, can I get our current board to stand up, please? Except for maybe Stefan. So Stefan is our secretary. He has been doing a fantastic job. If you need anyone to take minutes, I highly recommend him. Miriam has been our treasurer. We get to celebrate her tonight. Jason has been acting as our membership director. Sonia has been working on our planning and play initiatives. Maxine, our past president. Diane, Stephen, and Marisol are all our directors at large. We have a couple absent members tonight. We have John, who isn't able to make it, and Igor, who will be joining us a little bit later. Miranda is the editor for The Horn. She's taken on that responsibility, and it's been a really great help to us. Julie O'Brien is our casino committee chair, so she recruits and organizes volunteers for casino coming up. And I actually anticipate that could be coming up mid to late winter. So just keep your evenings free and come hang out with me and run chips. Warren, who's up here in the front, he's been really helpful. He's helped us with our social media. And tonight the event is being live streamed. We always know that there are community members who can't make it. And so this is an opportunity for them to catch up with us, either live through their device or go back and watch it. And this is posted afterwards, and it will be posted on our website as well. So that's it. We have a couple committees that are running right now. We have our planning committee, so Sonia, John, Stephen, myself are on that committee, and we also have 3 community members who are on that committee, Teresa, Mark, and Lindsay. We have a committee who is working on the South Haddon Road Playground redevelopment project, so myself, Michelle, Cheryl, and Melissa are on that committee, and we are working towards that for 2020. So, the agenda's been circulated. Is there any business to add to the agenda? Perfect. Thank you. May I have a motion for the adoption of the agenda?
I motion to accept the agenda as presented.
Thank you, Diane. Can I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Jason. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. See how fast it goes when we do it this way? Okay, great. Last year's minutes have been circulated. May I please have a motion to accept the minutes from June 7th, 2018?
I motion to accept the minutes from June 7th, 2018.
Thank you, Marisol. Can I have a second?
I'll second.
Jason, thank you so much. All in favor? Good, that's been carried. Thank you so much. All right, so speaking of the agenda, I guess I should click through this presentation that I made. Woo! This is 60 years. So 1959 was the first AGM, so this is 60 years. So thanks to everyone who's been on. I think there's some faces. were you guys at the 1959 one? No, I wasn't sure. Just because you didn't want to, or are you waving your hand because you were? Were you there? Thank you for being with us for 60 years. Okay.
I think you should give Dorothy a clap.
Yeah, actually, let's give Dorothy a clap. Yeah, we still have a lot of long-standing members in our community who've been here for its entire life. So appreciate you for being here tonight. So that's it. So this is the day we're gonna do. We're gonna have a special presentation from Constable Jake Tyerman. We're gonna do the financials. We're gonna talk about what we've been up to and where we're going. We're gonna do nominations for the board and for the president, and then we have a special guest actually from Calgary Acadia, and I believe Councillor Farkas will be joining us later this evening as well. So that being said, don't forget to follow us on social media. All right. Would you like to come to the floor, Constable Tyerman? Where are you gonna put it?
Yeah, there's the. Yes, that's fine. It's good.
Yeah, there you go.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Jake Tyerman. I'm the Community Resource Officer for Haysboro, Kelvin Grove, Chinook Park, Eagle Ridge, Kingsland, Fairview. So those are my communities, and I've been in this role since October of last year, and what I can tell you a little bit about some of the community issues that we're seeing, certainly you're well aware of. There's been an increase in those displaced by drug addiction, homelessness, downturn in the economy. All of those things is contributing to a lot of property crime within our city. And it's not just a specific to Haysboro, it's certainly citywide. There are certain things that contribute to it. The LRT corridor and the McLeod Trail corridor certainly contribute. A lot of the panhandling that's going on along the McLeod corridor affects it. And the access to mobility through the train brings people into communities who are looking for a way to raise money for their to use their substances. So you're seeing crime. You're seeing car prowlings, people entering garages, and general property crime. We haven't seen a lot of crime in terms of breaking and enters into homes. That's not typically what's happening. We're not seeing a lot of violent crime. We're not seeing a lot of robberies or a lot of violence, but it's mainly just the property crime, which is certainly an issue. Over the past year, I've worked on a number of projects so far. We ran a task force in November, December on the car prowlings that were going on in the fall because they were increased in Haysboro. We saw a significant decrease through January, December, January, February, March, kind of the colder months. We saw a direct decrease, but now that the warmer weather is coming up, things are getting active. And I'd like to speak to a couple key points that are important for you as citizens in the community and to share with your neighbors, and we need to start to get the word out that our community is not the same as it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, or 20 years ago. You can't leave your property unlocked. You can't leave valuables out. And you can't be complacent about things you see or things that happen that you don't report to police. We need the community to be vigilant in terms of reporting suspicious activity to police, reporting things that happen. If your vehicle's damaged or your bike's taken out of your yard, all of that stuff needs to be reported, even if you don't consider it of value. Oh, they took my $20 10 speed, and you don't report it. We need to know. It's important for us to be able to, because I collect the data, I make all the reports, I go through everything, and that's how we distribute our manpower for policing. So that's certainly an important part of it. The other second part of being vigilant in your community is to be a good witness. And what I mean by that is if you see something suspicious, please note things like if there's a vehicle involved, the make and the color, and if you can safely, without getting involved in the incident, see the plate, get us the plate. We don't want you to get involved in things, that's what we're supposed to do. But if you see something happening, get a plate. One of the big issues with drugs and drug houses is you'll have vehicles coming and going all the time, at all hours, people up to the door, down, back and forth. If that's your neighbor, and you can get a plate, get a plate. Write down the date and time and what it looks like. And if you don't want to be involved in it, go to Crime Stoppers and report it. All the Crime Stoppers tips for the whole district come through my mailbox. I read every one. So, and we get drug tips all the time. And drug tips are important because we can then get other resources like undercover officers or surveillance officers. There's numerous surveillance units working in the city all the time. We can start to target these things. What we can't do is if we don't know about it. If I don't know there's a drug house in the community, I can't dedicate resources to it. If I don't know that your car got prowled and they took $2 in change, I can't dedicate resources to it. So that's really important for me. And I also follow up on some of the major incidents because usually a patrol unit will come out and investigate crimes that have happened. And if I can assist, because the patrol officers are very busy, they're pretty much running call to call to call all day long. But if I can come back after the fact and assist with the investigation, I do. And then I can help further the investigation on. And if it needs further investigation, we have detectives who will take it on too. So it helps if it's reported. Courtney mentioned a little bit of the safety on the LRTs being an issue, Southland and Heritage in particular. I can tell you that we have had increased calls there. Transit police typically deal with most of them. We usually come for the major incidents that involve crime or drug possession or violence. So a huge bulk of things are handled by transit. What I can tell you, we meet with transit every 2 weeks, so I get their updates. A lot of those who are involved in drugs are using the LRTs as a safe injection site. And this is mainly because they know they're on camera, and they know people are walking by who will call police when they're overdosing. So several of them have said that. So rather than go to the safe injection site downtown, they'll use the train station. So that is happening. We also have had some dealers operating out of there, and we've had a major operation on drugs running for about the last 5 months, 6 months, and we've targeted several dealers at Chinook, Heritage, and Southland, and made some significant arrests. The challenge we have is keeping them in jail because we don't keep people in jail anymore. So it becomes a bit of a revolving door. So those are our challenges. Trying to rehabilitate some of these people that are causing some of the problems in the community is an uphill battle. To get them out of that lifestyle is an uphill battle. So in summary, we have a lot going on. It is busy right now. We're working as hard as we can. Please be good witnesses. Please get to know your neighbors. Please report stuff to us. And be good witnesses. Take note of what you see. For example, I had a call today at the Winners at Heritage in Cloud, and a lady called in, bless her heart. 2 guys were going through a vehicle. Looks like they're rummaging through somebody's vehicle. It's a black car, and somewhere in New Winners. And she left, and I tried to call her back, she didn't answer her phone. So, like, there must have been, I went in the lot, there must have been 80 black cars. I don't know, like, those are the tough things, like, it's 5 stalls to the west of Winners, and it's a Ford Focus. Perfect, I can find that. I can't find a black car in a pile of black cars. So, just those kind of things, details are important to us. Details are really important. So, at this time, I'll just open up quick questions. Anybody have any questions for me or things I can answer? Go.
You talked about LRT being a bit of a corridor of crime. Do you anticipate the same effect with BRT and the proactive measures happening with that?
Sorry, with what?
The BRT.
BRT being the new bus lines?
transit, yeah. And then any proactive measures recognizing the sort of corridor. And this is coming from National Public Transit.
Yeah, we don't see as much activity on the buses as we do on the LRT. I can't really answer. I don't anticipate some of the people that, just knowing a little bit about them, that they would hop a bus and go to, from Heritage LRT to Bayview and prowl cars, or, Glenmore Manly or something. I don't anticipate they would go too far from. However, that being said, I just did all of our stats for the last 2 weeks, and I've had car prowlings moving up into West Chinook Park and even West Haysboro, a couple. So, but more than likely, those are going to be your offenders that are in vehicles or on bikes or anything like that. We're seeing a lot of smashed glass, so if you're hearing or seeing smashed glass on a vehicle, make sure you're reporting that too. So I'd like to identify what's in your phone.
So the city generally doesn't have any data on like BRT or the max that's equivalency to LRT.
I don't know how we can really forecast that. It would be tough to forecast. I can't say, and I don't think the city has done any work on crime related to the BRT or. I was at the AGM for Kelvin Grove Chinook Park, Eagle Ridge last month, and Jeremy Farkas was there, and he talked a little bit about the BRT, and he actually anticipated that it probably wouldn't get used very much, was his take on it. So, yeah.
Speaking of the BRT, it's created some horrendous traffic. I mean, people are almost prisoners there. If we see a mess like that, how quickly can you respond and clean it up? The Easter weekend is awful. I know that you guys get lots of calls, but if you
If
see
you're talking in terms of emergency response, or
both, certainly emergency first, but everybody else second, because it was just brutal.
like in terms of traffic.
It just stopped. I mean, these little, how responsive can you be? Are you? I mean, I know you're busy and get tugged in any direction, but you got a whole neighborhood stopped.
Again, that was brought up again at the last AGM, was that Jeremy Farkas addressed it a bit. I can't speak to the traffic woes so much. It's not like we can come in and direct traffic and try and alleviate some of the problems. The biggest issue is the city in their foresight has done all these projects at once. From Anderson, 14th Street and 90, 75 and 14th Street, Crowchild, like all at the same time. And I feel like they were just working on these roads like 5 years ago. I don't know, it's all going on at once and it's awful, and at this point it's pretty much just have to grin and bear it, but they're in the middle of it, so it's not going to change.
No, I mean, there's going to be traffic jams for an eternity, but just those seem to be. I do worry about emergency vehicles. You got to get someone in a hurry, but.
Well, that is one of the concerns that Farkas brought up in terms of emergency response would be slower in traffic times. It would be, it can be a challenge. So, my zone used to be 6-3, which was west of 14th Street. And to get over there, the patrol was
We have a question from Facebook. Do you have crime stats from June 2018 to current?
Yes, in particular to one.
You just said crime stats.
That's a broad term. I can give you a year over year by month. I'm not sure what you're looking for specifically.
Maybe trending up, trending down.
Yeah, I can talk to some of the trending. So, social disorder calls are certainly up year over year. Well, they're up. In June of last year, they were actually higher than they are this year. There were 105 calls this year. We're looking at about 84, and so that's for April. So last year, April was 64, and this year was 84. June of last year was 105. Now, social disorder calls are going to be your check home welfares, some fighting, some verbal arguments, maybe at the LRT, people loitering, unwanted guests in businesses, just that kind of thing. That is, it peaked in June of 2018 at 105, and again in December, but that's more contributed to the Christmas rush and different things. Some specific crimes I could speak to year over year. Thefts from vehicles, which seems to be a hot button topic. In April of 2018, we had 10, and April of 2019, we had 50 in Haysboro specifically. So a moderate increase. Overall, I would say the average is maybe about 7 or 8 a month in Haysboro on average for those kind of things. For break-and enters, residential break-and enters in Haysboro are less than 1 a month, certainly for residents. The garage break-and enters might be 2 to 3 a month in Haysboro, and some commercial break-and enters on average would be, again, less than 1 a month. So pretty low in the big scheme of things. So the biggest, in terms of stats, what the stats tell me is much of the stuff going on is related to the social disorder. A lot of the higher call volumes would be coming from the Heritage LRT because that falls in your area. To be fair, 75% of the calls at Heritage LRT are 911 hang-ups or somebody pushed the LRT helpline. They're not actually stuff going on. We show up and nothing's actually happening. So it's lower, but it's something to be aware of. If there's anything specific, more specific the person is looking for, or anybody else, we'll move on to some more questions. Go ahead.
Just regarding the stats, how do we rate an inner city community? So how do we compare to other inner city communities within Calgary? Are we considered safe or above average with our crime? Where do we sit on general? Maybe your opinion would be easier than just giving a stat.
In general, you live in a safe community.
Okay.
Certainly a safe community. I would characterize the crime at this point as a nuisance and inconvenience, which can be combated by community vigilance for reporting and protecting your property. Good locks, good covers on your windows, keep your garages locked, keep your vehicles without stuff inside, keep it locked. Keep a watchful eye. If you have cameras, that's great. That's a big advantage for us. property, but it helps us identify people. You know, whatever you can do to protect your property, that's what I recommend. You're the first line of defense on your property at this point. So, you know, physical safety, we haven't had any issues or threats at this point. It's mainly just property stuff at this point. So.
Just a comment, I do take the LRT on off hours and off times, I go downtown at night, I use it quite often, and I feel very safe. My only issue, is I'll state before Jeremy Farkas later, is it smells like a homeless factory at the end of the day. So it doesn't get cleaned very well, that's my issue.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's not your issue, I'll bring that to that part.
Yeah, cleanliness would be an issue for sure. Any other questions? Concerns? Anything I can take away?
Yep.
And just if anyone does have any further questions, they can either direct it through the board or they can get a hold of Constable Tyerman directly. His email is in the form, so you can read your form and then get a hold of Constable Tyerman. So.
And Courtney, my email's perfect. Calls on Saturday about missing garden hose.
Perfect. I don't think we put your phone number, but.
I like your emails. I like it.
All right. Thank you so much for being with us tonight.
Good night.
All right.
Thank you.
So I'm going to do a very condensed president's message, and just on a couple of the highlights for me this year. Sonia and I go to lots of events together. It's our chance to catch up. I always appreciate that. So if you want to hang out and do good things in the city, and just invite me. I like going out. Very social. I'm really excited about the $5 membership campaign that's been ongoing this year. We just made a motion to continue that forward for another 6 months, and I'll speak to that in a little bit. We did a new logo and brand strategy with the board this year, and we were able to work with the Alberta University of the Arts, so formerly ACAD, and we were able to work with 2 students to go through what our brand identity is and strategy, and go back and forth as a board and have some really constructive dialogue back and forth. And if you look at your voter card, the trees are the thumbprints, and that's our thumbprint on the community. So as Constable Tyerman speaks to, it's up to us to be active and engaged. So that's that. This exterior renovation is almost finished. And I know Miriam will speak to that a little bit, and we're getting so close, but we've received nothing but positive feedback on the way that our building looks, and I think that there's a lot of excitement around it, and I'm really, really grateful for everyone's patience, as is Miriam, as is Fiona, so we really appreciate that, and yes, we'll work through some of the little deficiencies kind of over the next month or so, but oh so close. And we continue to have really successful ongoing programs and events, some which have been carried year over year, some that are new. We've had a lot of uptake and adoption by community members this year to champion some things and carry them forward, whether it's the Haysboro Rocks program, whether it's the Toy Library. Lee is here, and she's been working with Garden On, which is a multi-community gardening coalition. Sonia and I did some work with a couple other communities and some planning, so there still continues to be a lot going on. And Seniors Resource Group has grown strong as ever, isn't it? I'm looking at you 3. Yeah. So that's all I really want to say for now, and I'm going to pass it on. All right. Oh, I actually am going to speak to this real quickly, sorry.
No problem. Always pleasure.
In October, the board got together and we did a visioning exercise. And from that, we tweaked our vision and mission statement a little bit. And really staying with something about who we are as a community and being active and being engaged. So this is our new vision and mission statement. Those are up on the website, and those can continue to drive us forward in the coming years. And as we make decisions as a board, or on programming, or on events, or on any decisions we make, we can always go back and reference this. Okay, I'm gonna last year, I had the pleasure of attending an event with the Federation of Calgary Communities that talked about social equity and social inclusion in our city. And one of the reports that came forward was the Three Cities report. And recently Sprawl Calgary also picked up this report and talked about it a little bit. There was a community day through Best of Calgary just 2 weeks ago that talked on this report. So I want to show you, and so this for me was an impetus on why we needed to do a $5 membership campaign. Because our community, though while we might have the perception of being wealthy or well-to-do or stable, that's actually not the picture that this report tells. So Haysboro is both yellow and pink. So that the way they drew this map out was actually they divided Haysboro into two communities. They did what we call often as West Haysboro, and they talked about East Haysboro. And I will always say, there's no such thing as West and East Haysboro, there is just Haysboro. And we unfortunately have a 4-lane road that divides us. And we unfortunately have train tracks which divide us even further. But those three areas are uniquely different. But we need to remember that we are one community and we need to make sure that we are taking care of everybody. So I'm gonna just show you another map. So here's another map as well. So this talks about income polarization over the years. So they measured 1970 to 2010. 2010 was the first, and then they've gone on to do further. So Haysboro is this bottom little section here, and then above us is CKE and Mayfair. This is also Haysboro here, and then above that is Kingsland. And so you can see our neighbors around us. We have Fairview, we have Acadia, we have Willow Park and Willow Ridge, we have Southwood, we have Oak Ridge, Cedar Brae, Braeside, so all of these areas here. And all of this dark red speaks to communities of increased income polarization. So what that means is that as the cost of living goes up, their income is either staying the same or getting lower. And we have a big chunk of that in Haysboro. And so when we talk about people being able to attend our events for free, the reality is if you're a member, that actually means you have to pay $30 to attend a free Easter egg hunt. Or you have to pay $30 to be invited to the membership party. And while we don't explicitly say that, and we do welcome people with open arms, we need to find ways to remove those barriers, and finances are just one of them. So, what has happened? So, this slide just really quickly, and I can distribute these, talks about who participates and who doesn't participate in communities. And if we all look around the room, I think we can all confirm that. So, except for our seniors. You want me to pull this closer?
Yes.
Thank you, I can do that, absolutely. And so we know that there are people who aren't coming out. So they've identified successful strategies, and so as a board, we need to continually be looking at this and how we can integrate that into our messaging and into our actions. So, what's happened in the $5 membership campaign? When the end of November, when we passed the motion at the board meeting, we had 431 members. On May 31st, we had 574 members, so we had an increase of 143 members. We did very little campaigning over the 6 months. We did a push online. We had some articles in the Horn through the month of May, but just due to the extenuating circumstances of managing a renovation, some of that didn't go forward. Some of the strategies didn't go forward. So, the last board meeting, we agreed that we were going to continue this pilot project for another 6 months. We have a true year-over-year comparison. But we don't get to be complacent. We have to action things. So what can we do? We can continue to create awareness in the community, and this can include a door-to-door campaign. I'm going to say this is, I don't know if Max has done it, it is actually one of the hardest things, because asking all of you in the room and asking our current membership, even though there's 570 some of them, to stand up and go door to door and talk to your neighbors about the benefits of being a community association member, it's really challenging. But I'm gonna ask Max how she got early to do it, so, cause she's
Easy, no problem.
So, because I'm gonna say, in the calls that I've done,
Just ask.
I've had 5 people. So, we all need to step up as a community if we think there's value. And if we think that safety in a community comes from being connected, then this is an opportunity. So we need to increase the value of our membership. What can we do to create partnerships within our community to bring more value to that $5? And we need to partner with other organizations to reach different demographics in the community. We know that demographics are shifting in our neighborhoods. We're not shy about that, but we need to find ways that we can approach those people. So we can work with groups like Action Dignity, we can work with groups like the United Way. There are lots of services in the city and lots of other partner organizations who we can speak to who can help us out. And we need to help them as well. That's the $5 membership campaign. And I'm sticking around after, so I'm gonna just keep going with things and you guys can ask me more questions later. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Okay, is everyone gonna be able to hear you?
Can you guys hear what I'm saying? Clearly? What's that? Okay, put it down a bit because I'm gonna be looking.
I know, I'm gonna try to make it longer.
Anyways, my name's Miriam Mitchell. If you've read The Horn, you know that this is my last AGM. I've had the privilege of serving the community for about 24 years. It truly has been my privilege to serve you. We've done a lot of very fun, exciting things. So I'm very proud of what I've accomplished. It's really become a career position for me. It truly has. This is my career. I've done the same role for a couple of other nonprofits, including the ski jumping group, which my kids all were ski jumpers. I have an Olympian in my family. So when I thought back about it after I was kind of done and ready for the meeting, this is my career, and I'm very, very proud of it. I've contributed a lot. I've worked as hard as I could possibly work for you every day. So just so you know, I mean, it's been my pleasure to share my knowledge and my expertise with my community, and it really is my career. I'm retiring. My husband retired about 1.5 years ago, so I'm just kind of getting in step, and we have some very exciting plans coming forward. So I'm very excited to be done. I worked very hard, but I am excited to be done and moving on to a change in my life. That's just a little personal note before I start. Anyways, I've had a great deal of support over the years. Truly have worked with some amazing people, board members, volunteers, people who have come and gone, amazing projects. Anyways, I just wanted to share how great it was to be, to contribute and to work diligently for something and actually have results. So anyways, I encourage anybody to step forward if you think you have any desire to serve. It truly is an amazing thing. Anyways, I will carry on. That's just my little personal thing. If you refer to your treasurer's report, I'm going to refer to both reports, the financial statements and the treasurer's report, kind of in tandem. I will try to refer to page numbers on the financial statements so you can follow along and look. It just shows you what's happening in them. It integrates all the pages together for you. We start on page 2 with the independent auditor's report. The auditor has audited our financial statements and has issued her opinion, stating that these financial statements present fairly in all material respects the financial position of the Haysboro Community Association as at March 31st, 2019, and the results of its operations and its cash flows for the year then ended in accordance with Canadian accounting standards for non-profit organizations. We'll carry on with page 3, and page 3 has the statement of financial position on it. I'm just going to go through not every item, a lot of the items that require comments. The association, I'm basically going to start at the top. The association has unrestricted cash balances of approximately $147,000 and investments in the form of GICs of $110,000 approximately, as shown in note 3, which is on page 8, as at March 31st, 2019. So if you look at note 3, it just shows you the specific investments we have and the maturity dates. Everything's kind of laddered, so it's maturing in similar increments at different times. You get different rates, you get different advantages, just helps spread the risk. The investments are divided into short and long-term investments on the statement of financial position. Anything short-term is due to mature within a year. Anything long-term is due to mature within more than 1 year. The existing cash reserves are used in day-to-day operations. The intent of the association is to utilize the investments to fund life cycle renewal, maintenance projects, and any contingencies that may arise. The association has restricted assets of $35,000 approximately, as shown in note 4, page 9, as at March 31st, 2019. These include unspent casino proceeds this year. The casino proceeds can only be used for approved purposes as determined by the Alberta Gaming Commission. So they have restrictions on them. That is the reason they are separated on the statement of financial position from unrestricted assets. The association has a goods and services tax receivable of about $14,000. This relates to GST we've paid on the cladding project, which is recoverable. The association has a grants receivable of $85,600, which relates to the cladding project. The grant is the Capital Conservation Grant, which was awarded by the City of Calgary and actually has been received and collected after year end. This specific grant, you pay for the project up front and then you submit your proof of purchase and they reimburse you. Each grant is different. Some grants you receive the money up front. This one you do not. You have to have the money, spend it, and then you're reimbursed. So again, we have collected this grant receivable. The next item I want to speak to is property and equipment balances, which include all capital expenditures recorded at cost less accumulated depreciation or accumulated amortization. Capital additions during the year are almost entirely related to the cladding project. We really haven't done much else. This has been an all-encompassing project for the board. The cladding project has been in progress for several years. The board is pleased to announce that the project is very close to completion, just as Courtney alluded to. The total estimated cost of the project, this is at the beginning of the project, was estimated at $596,000, which included a contract price of $518,000, a contingency amount of $78,000. This is 15% of the contracted price. This is what was recommended by our architects that we needed to ensure we could fund as a contingency if necessary. Currently, we've utilized approximately $40,000 of the contingency to date. We are not finished. The majority of the contingency has been, there shouldn't be a huge amount of additional contingency, but we are not finished yet, so there may be some items. We don't have any information on them at this point, or I would bring them to your attention. Successful grant applications from the City of Calgary, the CCG program in the amount of $300,000. The province's CFIT program in the amount of $125,000. And the federal accessibility program in the amount of $50,000 were obtained to cover the cost of the majority of the cladding project. In other words, we received $475,000 in grants for this project. That's part of why it took so long. You have to apply for the grants, wait for them to come through, which is typically a 6 to 8 month process of waiting, plus a couple months probably, or 3 months of writing the grants. Anyways, if we were to spend nothing more than the contingency we have spent to date, HCA would probably have put in approximately $83,000 into this just about $600,000 project. So the majority of it is funded. That's all I'm going to speak to regarding assets. We'll go down to the liabilities and net assets section. The first item is accounts payable. We have accounts payable and accrued liabilities of $76,000. which relates primarily to the cladding project and will be paid for out of cash on hand. This is just amounts that they haven't been billed. We've paid all of our bills, but they haven't been billed as of March 31st, but we've incurred the service. I mean, the work has been done, but it hasn't been billed or paid for, so it ends up as an accounts payable. The next item I'm going to speak to is deferred cash contributions of approximately $35,000. This represents unspent casino funds. These cash balances are considered, they're restricted, right? We have to spend them as is dictated through Alberta Gaming. If for some reason we could not spend them, they are a liability to us. We would have to give them back. There is no chance we can't spend them. We have lots of opportunity, but the rules are, like, if something happened and the organization closed or whatever, you have to give the money back. That's part of the restriction. So they're identified specifically on the statement of financial position. The next item is deferred contributions related to property and equipment. This includes grants and casino proceeds used to purchase capital assets less accumulated amortization. The contributions are amortized at the same rate as the asset acquired. The association down at the bottom, you will see something that says commitments and contingencies, note 9. The association has commitments and contingencies that require disclosure, and they are discussed on note 9. The information in the note is as of March 31st, so it's not as of right now. It's discussing the cladding project. The information I gave you is like today's information about what the cost has been and that we're almost complete. This takes us back to the date of the statements. So I'm just going to read it because it is important that you're aware of any future commitments and contingencies. Note 9 on page 10, it says, during the year, the association entered into a construction contract with an unrelated party in the amount of $552,000, including change orders for the exterior upgrade project. As of March 31st, approximately $83,000 of the contract had not been completed yet. It's much less now because we are very close to completion, but at that point there was about 15% of the project that was not completed yet. Construction lien was related to the project in the amount of $38,435, was registered against the organization on March 27th, 2019. This was registered by a subcontractor of our general contractor. The organization was not in arrears with any of its related contract obligations. We paid every bill that was submitted to us, so this is a problem between the general contractor and his subs. Subsequent to the fiscal year end, the general contractor was able to have the lien removed and is working to complete the contract. This is just information that is valuable to the reader. That's why it's a required disclosure under the accounting principles. So that is all I'm going to say on page 3, the statement of financial position. Are there any questions before I proceed? Okay, the next page is page 4. It's called the statement of changes in net assets. The association used it, one of the things shown in this statement that I think is very interesting is the association used its unrestricted assets to purchase only $2,002 of property and equipment in the current year. That just means that every other thing we purchased was funded through a grant. So, I mean, the only way to do anything here is to fund it through grants or donations or sponsorship. They are hard to come by. The grants are the easiest, I mean, they are the easiest option for funding for capital projects for us. We still have to have a matching component, but if you have more than one grant, it provides your match for you. So it's a complicated thing now. It just means you don't have to use very much of your own money. You can use somebody else's money, which is essential to nonprofits, because nonprofits don't have any money, really. I mean, they don't generate much. They operate to serve. So anyways, that's really what the important thing on that page I wanted to bring to your attention. The statement of operations, that's page 5. I'd like to continue with that. We're going to start at the top primarily and kind of go through it. There's a little bit of a change in order. I'll try to speak slowly so you can find where we are. Starting at the top, facility revenues. Facility revenues have decreased approximately 3% over the prior year to $77,000. This is primarily due to the lengthy construction period, which made the hall less rentable. We didn't have access to our front entrance. Our administrator was in one of our rental rooms. It just wasn't as nice a place to come to. It was hard to get people to come. It's a guess, I don't know really, but that would be my conclusion on the decrease. Typically, we always have increases about 3 to 5% every year in our rentals, so this is very atypical for Haysboro. The next thing, I want to talk about membership. Courtney's spoken about it as well. I mean, it is an important financial component as well. Memberships continue to be an area of focus for the board. We've entered into a pilot project for a 1-year period commencing December 1st, 2018. Membership fees reduced to $5 for all classes. The effect in the current year is a substantial decline in the membership revenues from $96.88 to $66.25. The intention was to increase community engagement and, more importantly, to ensure that there were no financial barriers to membership. The board is hoping for a substantial increase in the number of memberships held. The goal has been set at 1,000 memberships. The board of directors will assess the success of the pilot project in November, December of 2019. See if it's worthwhile continuing, or, I mean, what happens, right? We've got 6 months worth of activity. We really need to work hard in the next 6 months and see if there's, how many other people we can draw into this organization, or if we, just see what happens, right? Because we really have just started to work on this project in terms of the social media and the contact to try to gain more members. The association typically has approximately 450 members in a year. This is a mix of family memberships, senior single, senior couple memberships. Family memberships were priced at $30, senior single were $6, senior couple were $12. I mean, you guys all know this because you've all bought memberships probably more than once. Anyways, it's a major initiative for the board, which requires ongoing work to see what we can do. Next thing I'll speak to is the program and entertainment revenue. Program and entertainment revenue includes revenues from many individual unique events and programs. They are primarily provided to encourage community building and engagement of our members. Details for revenue and the related expenses are shown in Schedule 2, page 12, which is the last page of the financial statements. So I'll just go through the important ones. Our senior snow removal and lawn care program continues to be popular among the community members, and is one of our flagship programs, generating gross revenues of $33,985 and related expenses of $31,308, with a net surplus of $2677, which is primarily used to help to cover the general administrative costs of the program. Those are primarily Fiona's time. So we are, as I said, it is one of our flagship programs. And everything else is just various programs and events and programs that we've done during the year. We've obtained some small grants to help fund the program or the entertainment or the event. So I mean, like most nonprofits, generally they don't make any money. It's for engagement, for fun, all those things that are important to make sure people want to belong. So that is all I'm going to say on Schedule 2. The next item on the Statement of Operations, which is page 5, that's kind of the summary of all the revenues and expenses. The preschool program is our other flagship program. Preschool revenues, if you look onto Schedule 1, this will have the financial details. This is on page 11. Preschool revenues of $60,422, net of related expenses of $42,000 approximately, yielded at a net surplus of $18,000 as shown in Schedule 1, page 11. This was a very successful year in terms of the number of participants in the program. All 4 classes were at or almost at capacity. It's unlikely that in the upcoming year we will have as many participants based on current registration numbers. It was a very high year. Typically, the previous year is typically much more what the revenue and expenses look like. The next item I'm going to speak to on page number 5 on the statement of operations is donations. Donations, sponsorship, and fundraising revenue have increased over the prior year. The Board of Directors continues to work in this area to maximize or increase these amounts. They need continual work, right? Next thing is the association was awarded a Canada Summer grant of $6,000 to fund our youth program coordinator position last summer. The majority of the cost was covered by the grant. We spent approximately $1,000 over and above what we received for the grant. So again, it was an example of using somebody else's money to work to enhance your programs and provide opportunities for the community. This concludes the discussion of annual revenues. Now I'll discuss briefly about our expenses. Overall, our annual operating expenses continue to rise at a slow, gradual rate as everything becomes more costly. There's no specific items that are noteworthy, really. At this point, everything is basically cash in, cash out. The last 2 items located on the bottom of the page are non-cash items. The annual amortization of property and equipment of $58,356, which is partially offset by amortization of the deferred contributions related to property and equipment of $46,763, represent expenses and revenue, but they're both non-cash items. These 2 items do not affect the cash flow from operations, or from operations. The association's excess of revenue over expenses for the year ended March 31st, 2019, before non-cash items was $5,446. Again, it's a non-profit organization. There's not huge amounts of cash being generated. One of the things I forgot to mention that is important is, and it looks like the line got deleted is our contributions from casino. I missed that in my readings. If you go back up, it's under revenues, it's an amount of $40,000. I mean, it's substantial. The contributions from casino of $40,359 represent the amount of operating expenses that were paid for using our casino funds in the current year. Casino funds can be used to fund operating and capital expenditures. We are able to host a casino approximately every 18 months. The proceeds from the last casino were approximately $70,000, as shown in note 7 on page 10. The majority of the casino funds are utilized to fund current operating expenses, with only small amounts left for capital expenditures. As a result, all of our capital projects require grant funding to cover the majority of the costs. Most grants require matching from another source, therefore 2 or 3 grants must be obtained for any sizable project, since there's really no surplus generated from our operations in the year. Without the casino, we would operate at a very sizable deficiency. So come out and help with your casino, volunteer for your casino. It helps run your home. Anyways, I thought that was important to read to you. Are there any questions about the statement of operations? All right, the statement of cash flows, that's the next one. It's on page 6. For the year ended March, the statement of cash flows just shows what the sources of cash flowing out and cash flowing in are, because you have various non-cash items. You have receivables, payables that aren't cash items at the moment. Anyways, that's the purpose of the statement. For the year ended March 31st, 2019, the association's net cash flow from operations was a deficit. That means it's credited of 28,380. So it's kind of partway down the page under the bottom of operation activities. Net cash outflows to investing activities, this is the cladding project, is $492,000, or it's primarily the cladding project. There is a small addition of interest to our investments, which is categorized as a investing activity, but it's almost all capital related this year. We continue on to page 4 of the treasurer's report. Net cash inflow from financing activities is $344,727, which primarily represents the use of the casino and grant funds during the year. What's come in, what we've used. It's basically just the net change of those two items. The association's net decrease in cash during the year ended March 31st, 2019 was $176,128. I mean, we spent a lot of money on the project, so that is the reason for the decline. The notes is the next thing I'd like to refer to. Are there any questions on the statement of cash flows? Okay, the notes to the financial statements, they start on page 7 and proceed for several pages. I've tried to refer to them as we go so you can see that they are integrated to the rest of the statement. They're an integral part of the statements. They describe significant accounting policies followed by the association, as well as provide other relevant financial information. This concludes the presentation of Haysboro Community Association's audited financial statements for the year ended March 31st, 2019. So I need to do the appointment of the auditors.
Well, we need to actually do a motion.
Oh, yes,
first.
we need to do it.
Yeah, so can I have a motion to accept the treasurer's statements?
Treasurer's report.
I motion to accept the treasurer's report and audited financial statements as presented.
Thank you, Sonia. Can I get a second for that?
A second.
Igor will second. Thank you. All in favor? Good stuff. Thank you so much. So Miriam will now make a recommendation to appoint our auditors for our next financial year.
Okay, the FCC, or the Federation of Calgary Communities, are our current auditors. Within their mandate is, I don't know what the words of their mandate are, but part of their mandate is to support Calgary community associations. This support takes many forms, one being to provide audit and accounting services to Calgary communities. They are a not-for-profit association like Haysboro is. As a result, their fees are very reasonable compared to public accounting firms. They've provided us with great service in the past, and I recommend that we appoint them as our auditors for the upcoming fiscal year.
Great.
Is there any questions about the recommendation or clarification of something?
Perfect. Can I get a motion to appoint the Federation of Calgary Communities as the auditor for the for 2019-2020?
I motion to appoint the Federation of Calgary Communities as auditor for 2019.
Thank you, Jason. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Igor. All in favor? Thank you. Perfect. All right, now we get to celebrate some more. This was just a quick synopsis of the grants, so you can see we're pretty good at grant writing. All right, thank you, Miriam.
Thank you, guys.
And there's beer and treats in the lounge afterwards. All right, so I just want to briefly speak to planning. So probably the question that the planning committee feels the most is what is happening at the old YMCA site. So Kirby Center was originally looking at that site, and they presented to council in a closed door session because it did include land value, and assessment, and they were not successful in their bid. So at this point, there are no dedicated plans for the site. The follow-up question I keep getting is why is there posting cable? And my best guess is that it's just to prevent it from becoming kind of a free-for-all parking lot. So there is some parking that looks like for transit, they're using it as a continued staging area for BRT construction. And at some point, we hope that there'll be some plans coming forward for that site. That leads us into Area 31. So currently in the city, there is a pilot project going, I'll just stand right here. There is a pilot project going on in North Hill, multi-community area redevelopment plan. And Haysboro, Kingsland, Fairview, Acadia, I think there's actually 13 communities that are currently in the plan. We have been identified as ready to go through this multi-community area plan. So that will be coming in the fall. The planning committee is in the early stages of meeting with planners and developers at the city so that we understand what our expectations are and then we can move forward with that. I met with the city just yesterday. They're going to be opening up a new site through Calgary.ca with regards to planning and development. It's going to be a resource site for citizens and for residents to get information on how to engage in the planning process. Both myself and Sonia and John and Therese is here, she's on a planning committee. We've been going through a program with the Federation of Calgary Communities called Partners in Planning. So one of the things I put forward to the city is that in this multi-area redevelopment plan, if we could do kind of a micro partners in planning session pre-Area 30, it'll probably get renamed, it will forever be known as Area 31, except that I joke that we could kind of have a cool Hunger Games symbol thing that goes with it, so I'm kind of all for it.
Courtney?
Yeah.
I don't understand what Area 31 is.
Yeah, so the way that the city breaks up the community, communities is kind of into districts. And so the district that Haysboro is a part of is called Area 31. So for example, Cedarbrae, Braeside, Oak Ridge, they're in something I think called Area 29. So North Hill would have had an area number as well. Ours just happens to be 31.
So that's more like a district than...
It's more of a district, yeah. So we won't be approaching this as a single community. It'll be a multi-community effort to talk about the future of our communities and planning and best practices, what's going to happen around our train stations, you know, what maybe like the bike or walk strategy might be. So those are opportunities for us to engage and give future direction for our neighborhoods. Does that help? Okay, perfect, thanks. Yeah, sometimes when you're just in the midst of it, you forget that it's not so clear. So kind of precluding that, there is a group called the Anderson Heritage Coalition, and they did another project with EBDS students that looked at 5 communities and a strategy, and so we just actually recently got the documents from that, and so we'll get those up on the website as well. And so this was kind of similar to how we did our community plan with EBDS. This was more of a multi-community approach. So there'll be some great information that can come out of that can perhaps inform what's going to happen in the days to come. And this is a really exciting thing, being identified as a pilot area. It comes from some of the great work that Sonia's been doing, some of the work that's being done over in Acadia, and even in CKE and Kingsland, to show that we're really ready and that we're a super exciting and engaged community. So that's, we're being rewarded. So we should definitely pat ourselves on the back for that. So that's planning. Does anyone have any questions about planning specifically? Yes.
The big development is going to be going over in Quarter Southwood, or Southland and Elbow.
Yeah.
Is this the kind of thing that the communities within themselves, like Haysboro and Southland, and are going to work together to make sure that, say, we are not overly impacted by the TOD at Southland or by the massive development that's going to be going up in the corner?
Yeah, so Sonia and I did work with Southwood a little bit on that project to take a look at what some of the implications on that would be. The idea with Area 31 isn't to necessarily approach site by site or parcel by parcel, but really to kind of lay a framework they're calling them building blocks, for how we're going to build out our future communities. So identifying where we want a community hub. So if we decided that, let's say where Anytime Fitness is, we recognize that the parking lot isn't full, so we would perhaps see that that site could be activated a bit better with better frontage, or maybe that that development could expand a little further, and we could get a great, zone it for a coffee shop, so that we've got a central spot in our community for us to gather outside of a community hall, right? So from a commercial perspective, it would talk about some of the land uses around train stations, and how those would get designated, and so as redevelopment happens, some of the land use applications, the city might predetermine what those land uses are and change them ahead of time, to perhaps spur some development investment in neighborhoods. And so one of the things North Hill is looking at is where should bike lanes go? Which sidewalks need to be widened? Should McLeod Trail be designated as a main street, or is there another corridor in our neighborhoods that would better serve as a main street? So those are some of the discussions that we get to have, and talk about what our neighborhoods can look like as we continue to grow up. Does that help? Should we talk about it more over beer?
At some point, definitely.
Yeah, okay, for sure, sounds good. We need everyone's voices at that table, for sure. All right, so Miriam talked a little bit about preschool. Preschool's been a huge success this year, as it has been every year. And there's days that I really miss my girls being at preschool, and there's days that I'm also super happy not to have to pack snacks for 1,200 children. So preschool's a parent-run committee. They're a volunteer. They schedule our toy cleaning, which is required by Alberta Health Services. They help plan the events and activities for our preschoolers throughout the year. And they do a lot of work to make sure that our preschool is running nice and smooth. So great big thanks to those. And every day there is a parent in the classroom, or a grandparent, or a nanny, and they're our second person, and it's a really wonderful experience. So if you have kids going into preschool, please do look forward to those days. There was 47 students this year, so we were, yes, at capacity, pretty much, but the best thing is everyone's giving great recommendations to kind of fill up the years to come. And Fiona, do you know exactly what our number's at? I meant to ask you earlier.
We're at 13, 12, 8, and 7.
13, 12, 8, and 7. So it sounds like we have room in our afternoon classes, which is usually kind of the most typical. So they do skating and bike parties. They continue to work with a group called Big Plans. So Big Plans is an early intervention service. It is free of charge for our students. They help with occupational therapy, social emotional skills. They do speech therapy. So they do a lot of things for our preschoolers to help get them kindergarten ready, and give them some of that additional help and services they need, so that, yeah, they're having a great time in kindergarten. And I definitely think it's paying off. In this fall, we are really fortunate. We have a practicum student who's going to be with our preschools, from Bachelor of Child Studies from Marlborough University, and that is actually a 5-year partnership that we've entered into. So we may or may not have a student every semester, but it is something that we're kind of excited about, looking forward to, in a new dynamic in our preschool. Carrie told me this and I had no idea. The natural playground is one of 6 environments chosen to be featured in a child studies course due to the responsiveness in child learning. So when you sometimes go to the park and you see toys everywhere and you think, what a mess, what we're actually doing is building bigger brains, fine motor skills, and creative thinking, and problem solving. And yes, we're working on the cleaning up part of things, but there is something fun about finding a truck in really unexpected places and seeing what happens. Our natural playground continues to be a success and a huge part of our preschool program. So that's really fantastic. All right, Seniors Resource Group. Would either any of you like to speak to it, or do you want me to speak on behalf? All right, I'll read the letter from Elspeth. All right, so I'm just going to read. So Elspeth is going to be the outgoing chair, and Denise Palmer is going to be the incoming chair. So it says that Haysboro Senior Resource Group had an excellent year in spite of the challenges we all faced with building renovations and parking. The end result of the renovation and improved access is wonderful. We appreciate the hard work of all those involved. We had varied and very enjoyable programs throughout the year: education, music, self-defense, theater, and even a trip to Peru. Thank you to Nancy McConnell for a job well done. Once again, the Christmas luncheon was a great success, ably led again by Barb Godfrey, and I can tell you for sure that the food was delicious, as always. This year, the bus trip on May 23rd went to Bar U Ranch near Longview. There are many positive comments on the food, the staff at Bar U, the tour, and of course our driver, Doug, from Escape Coach Lines, our regular provider of a safe and comfortable trip. Plus, of course, the best weather they've had in weeks. So, at the recent AGM, the membership voted overwhelmingly to change the regular general meeting date to the 4th Tuesday of each month, and the executive meeting to the 3rd Tuesday of each month. This will provide easier access for our less mobile members. We'd like to express special thanks to Fiona and Wayne for their many kindnesses and assistance over the past year, especially accessibility for the less mobile in the parking lot. The Haysboro Seniors Resource Group Executive will see some changes in personnel this coming year. Those leaving the team have been much appreciated for all their input and teamwork. I'm certain the incoming chair, Denise Palmer, will provide excellent leadership to the group. I would like to extend a warm welcome to Denise and other incoming executive members, and a huge thank you to those departing. Respectfully, Elspeth Crawford. So Elspeth can't be with us tonight, but I'm so happy that she was able to send a message. And I have duly noted that executive is meeting on Tuesdays and hope to connect with them. Oh, and that is not the date of the barbecue. That didn't get changed. Fiona, what day is it? June 20th? All right. Thanks. You know what? I was just thinking about that. I was like, I didn't change the date. All right. June 20th at noon. Tickets available. $7? Pay before you come. $7? $7. Probably delicious. All right. We had amazing business sponsors this year, so I just want to give a quick shout out to them. They have been both in-kind donations with food, but also financial donations as well. So that's been really fantastic to have. All right. So old logo, new logo. So super highlight. So here's some events from 2018. Oh, there's a familiar face. So last summer we did a bench walk. So in a partnership with Anna in the neighborhood, Kristen from Anytime Fitness, there was a bench program that was created, and there was a meditation, and there was an exercise, and it walked the Millennium benches throughout the neighborhood. And so we'll get that back up and going for the summer as well, so you have an opportunity to travel your neighborhood and be both active and mindful as you explore. So we ran a youth program last summer, and it was both a hit and a miss. There were definitely some challenges we discovered in terms of picking dates and attendance, inconsistency, and also funding. And that, at some point you do have to give a little bit of money to things. And so we didn't necessarily recognize some of the challenges. And so we do need to think on this a little bit more, because the days that it did work, it worked really, really well. And people were really looking forward to it. And we have a demographic of students who are moving into the space where they need something to do, where the playground is sort of no longer a viable option, where they need some structured activity to keep them from doing some unstructured activity. And so my ask to the community was to find a champion for our youth. I think our skate shack has some really awesome potential to kind of be a hub for them. It's safe, a little bit out of the way, but still with some eyes on it. And I mean, that space in and of itself needs some like TLC. They painted the benches last year. It didn't get sealed, so it got washed off. But these are just sort of simple things that can brighten our neighborhood. So I'm going to put that ask out there for someone to kind of adopt our youth and move something forward with them. We did a pumpkin walk, so everyone brings their pumpkins on November 1st, and we just hang out in the field, and we have cider and a fire pit, and it's just a really nice way to kind of decompress from all the sugar. Our winter market continues to be a success and build year over year. It is wholly run by community members. So it's really a community-driven event again, and though we welcome people from outside the neighborhood, we do give preference to Haysboro vendors. Pub nights have taken off again this year, and I didn't mention our pub night committee, and it's actually my mom and her partner. I kind of strong-armed them into doing it, but it's been a really great success, and they're making a lot of money to help fund our lounge renovation. So we had, the first night we had Dan, the one-man band, and we had boards over the window, and we wrote on the boards, and we had a lot of fun, and the one on the left was like a Jimmy Buffett pub night, and so we have one coming up for Stampede as well. They are just so much fun, and you can walk home. That's what I'm gonna say about that. We had a good tournament in January. It's a really nice, small, intimate group, but a really fantastic way to get to know neighbors. And we have a couple families that come out every year, a couple dads with their sons who come out every year and totally annihilate everybody. I don't know if they're card counters, I don't know what it is, but they always do such a great job. And I did see Gary pop in here. Gary made us some 3D trophies this year, which was really fantastic. Our Easter egg hunt continues to be a really popular event for families, no matter what the weather, and always a great time and a great gathering. This year, we had the scavenger hunt planned for the fall, but it was very snowy October, so we postponed it to the spring and did a potluck picnic with it. We had quite a few teams come out this year. I was kind of hanging around the hall doing some stuff, but it was like, the impression I got was kind of like bike chaos through the neighborhood, but like in a really fantastic way. And everyone came back with big smiles and hungry bellies, brought some fantastic dishes and potluck. So just sometimes those really small, easy to put together activities are what's best. And we found a rope, and somehow like tug of war has become like the new favorite thing in the neighborhood. So we've saved the tug of war rope, and we'll be continuing to bring it out. So getting down and dirty. So I mentioned Lee. She's working with Garden On. They're in their second year. They have an event coming up this weekend on Saturday. You guys are building bee houses, right? Bumblebee houses. Yeah. So that's super fantastic, and it's a great way to get to know people from other neighborhoods. And then on the left, it's called Get Outside and Play Week, and it's the last week of May, and it's a great chance for the preschoolers in our neighborhood to explore outside. And so this is Devin from Timbernook, and this is the Mud Kitchen, and they did it twice, and it's always such a great time, and I think we probably all have fond memories of playing in the mud as children. So what's coming up? I'm going to show you posters instead. Parade garage sales this weekend. It's also Lemonade Day. So Lemonade Day is a Calgary Chamber of Commerce initiative for budding young entrepreneurs. So we'll also have, there's a few families I know who are going to have lemonade stands out, so you can get a refreshment as you nickel and dime people for their unwanted items. We have a community campfire read-along that's coming out, complete with costumes. So those are, I'm gonna put those out on Facebook tomorrow. So this is put on by Anna in the neighborhood. She's gonna read The Wish Tree, and it's really a story about community. So we're gonna do a fire pit. There'll be 2 readers every week, so it's gonna go for 3 weeks, and you can come and you can join as a family and enjoy the fire pit and just spend some lovely early summer evenings together. So we are going to do skipping. And I totally said I'm going to sign up for the skipping challenge. I'm going to get all these people to pledge me skipping, record it. And so this is to raise funds for the Haysboro Playground. So it's an activity for kids. Who did pledges as a kid? Like run-a-thon, skip-a-thon. Put your hands up, like don't be shy about it. So yeah, we're going to you get to make your kids do that. That's great. Remember when?
And the adults too.
And the adults, yeah, but like total nostalgia. Anyways. So we're going to do a skipping challenge. We partner with Skip Squad, so they're going to do demonstrations 2 days here, and they do like double dutch, and you can join Skip Squad, but just kind of a fun way to stay active and raise funds for the park. Stampede Pub Night. The plan is to be outside, and so weather permitting. All right. Okay, this is the fun part. Actually, that was the fun part. So we love to have you join us. You can sit on the board, you can join a committee, and you don't have to make that decision today, but we really, the more the merrier, and many hands really does make light work. And when we get to come together and collaborate, especially as a committee, or like on committee level, we see some really amazing, successful things happen in our neighborhood. So I'm encouraging you to do that. All right. Honestly, everything in this community is resident-led. So nothing happens without someone having an idea. So campfire read-alongs, someone read a book and said, hey, want to gather around the campfire. Fantastic, let's do it. So we're saying yes. We're saying, let's help you. But if you've got a really good idea, then let's make it happen. All right. We get to nominate Corey. So, on your, I believe it's on your agenda, and it's up here. So returning to the board this year will be Sonia Celine, Stephen Snell, John Hamill, Igor, I'm not even trying, how did your last name? Gelber, yeah. Jason Flanagan, Diane Ward, Stephen Bell, and Julie O'Brien. So Maxine is going to be leaving us. Thank you for your years of service. Marisol is stepping down as well this year. But I believe that we've got strength in our team, but we are definitely welcoming new members. So, are there any other names to stand? Lauren Denny. Welcome back. Yes, Lauren was sat on our board, and she took some time away, so she's going to come back. Are there any other names? It says I have to ask 3 times. Are there any other names? Perfect. Can I have a motion to accept the nomination of the board en bloc?
I motion to accept nominations of the board as previously read en bloc.
Thank you, Sonia. Can I get a second? Thank you, Stephen. All in favor? Thank you. Any opposed? Okay, just double checking. Next, I have to hand the microphone to somebody to make a recommendation for a presidential nomination. I'm putting my name forward again, but there does need to be a recommendation from the board. Are there any, and we also do need to ask, are there any other nominations from the floor for president? I'll ask again, are there any other nominations from the floor for president? Are you smiling because you're considering it?
No.
Are there any other nominations from the floor for president? Okay, so then now at this point we put forward a recommendation from the board, and I didn't actually ask anyone to do this, so I'm just handing the microphone into the list to do it.
So I would like to make a recommendation as a board member that Courtney Browning be elected as president.
You want to nominate her?
Or nominate. I'd like to nominate Courtney for president.
Yeah, great. So, I'm going to ask for any other nominations. All right, so we need a motion to elect Courtney Brownigan for the 2019-2020 year. Pardon?
Is that what you just did?
No, we need a nomination.
Then I think Mary made a motion.
No, the nomination is that she stands for the,
Yeah, so
for
first
the
make a
election.
nomination. All right.
I motion to elect Courtney Browning for 2019 to 2020.
Thank you, Stephen. Can I get a second? Thank you, Marisol. All in favor? Thank you. Any opposed? Good, thank you, that's carried. Another AGM done. Woo! So Justin is here from Minister Chandra's office to read us a greeting.
Thank you. My name is Justin Godfrey. I'm the constituency assistant for Calgary Acadia. We just moved into the office on Fairmont and Heritage Drive this morning. If you'd like to stop by, we'd love to have you come in or give us a call at any time. I'll just pass on a message from Minister Chandra here. Thank you to all the members attending the AGM tonight for continuing to care about this incredible community within the heart of Calgary Acadia, and to all of those who have put their names forward to sit on the board. Thank you for giving your time to help make sure Haysboro remains an outstanding community within our vibrant province. I'm sorry I can't attend tonight and wish all the success in the coming year. Thank you.
Thank you for coming. And thank you
I'm standing between you guys and snacks and donuts.
No, it's totally good. It's totally good.
Good evening all. I just wanted to congratulate the incoming board and president. I had a good chance to get to know you, Corporate better, as well as Sonia and others through your work. In Ward 11, we have 26 community associations. It's astounding getting to see the whole spectrum of volunteerism, the capacity of each of the boards, and I can say without question that I'm so impressed with Haysboro's leadership. Whenever there's any planning items that come before City Council, I'm always terribly impressed with Haysboro's positive and really proactive outreach. They do such a tremendous job for you in terms of vetting these proposals and making sure that they fit in line with the vision that the communities come together to support. And I'm still, I can't repeat this point enough, but I'm so grateful for the leadership that you've shown, Courtney, as well as others on your board. One piece that I wanted to jump in is the issue of construction coordination. So I was really pleased to bring this topic to council and then to our transportation committee meeting a couple weeks ago. The gist of it is that we had a few issues, particularly around the Easter weekend, that really had a number of different projects happening all at once, and there was a real spillover effect that I think it actually just exceeded it exceeded, I would say, an annoyance, and it actually escalated more to an emergency situation. I saw the various roads in and out of, particularly the other side of 14th Street. I couldn't help but question, what would have happened if there was some sort of issue that could have prevented emergency vehicle access in and out. So I went to City Council with a number of recommendations. Firstly, to ensure that if there is a major closure at intersections like that they're coordinated and that only one major area would be closed at the same time. Next is ensuring that the public is provided notice of an emergency plan for vehicle access to be able to get in and out. And then some other more minor pieces. But I wanted to thank the many of you that have submitted your thoughts. And as a result of your advocacy of the letters that you provided to me, I was able to make my case at council. And ultimately, committee unanimously adopted my recommendations. So really, it's to the strength of the ideas that you're bringing forward that I'm so grateful. Another piece that I wanted to mention is this issue and topic of the tax shift and the rising tax burden that's facing Calgarians. Not just homeowners, but particularly business owners at this time. How many of you have, for example, seen the sign that's up in front of Worst on 4th Street? Yeah, it's not a small amount of increase that these businesses are facing. You're talking 200 to 300% increases over the span of 4 or 5 years. So there's a number of different approaches that have been put on the table. There's been debates about is the ratio fair between what homeowners pay and what businesses pay. Rather than talk about who should take on the burden, I think that we need to have a good conversation about reducing that burden. So my thoughts have been in terms of bringing to council ways that we can better innovate, whether there's areas of service that the city currently provides that could be potentially contracted out for better value or at least better cost, as well as other ways that your council can lead by example. So when you think of the growing tax burden, one of the biggest drivers for that is salaries, wages, benefits, and overtime. So in approximate terms, about 15 years ago, that line item accounted for about 40% of the city's operating budget. Today, it's about 55%. So when you think of what is driving these increases, it's particularly around there. There are some proposals on the table to say, go to the provincial government in terms of a bailout. I think that that's a non-starter. We've seen the provincial government come out and say, they're broke, and they just don't have the money for that. Maybe Minister Shandro can comment, but he probably wouldn't get into that. But I think that council really got itself into this mess, and we need to take concrete steps to be able to get us out. Further to that end, what I would prefer that we do at City Council is what I would describe as a least harm approach. If council can lead by example in terms of scaling back our quite generous golden pension and our compensation, I think that we may have a chance to be able to get management and staff more broadly to take minor reductions. So when you think of, say, the generous union agreements that have been arrived at in past years, say the city's largest union received a 4% increase in 2017. There is significant room for us to be able to do minor scale backs there. The reason though that I would rather go for the salary piece is again the least harm approach. Scaling back the salary still ensures that city staff who are working in the city do not have to undertake layoffs, we don't have to reduce services, and I think that the impacts can be more fairly borne, and it doesn't set the city up as an organization in terms of one of, say, fear and bad morale, where you don't know if you're the one who's going to be going next. So that's been my approach, by council leading my example, reforming our defined benefit pension plan, taking more of a cut, as well as drawing down the Opportunity Calgary Investment Fund. So right now there's $100 million that's set aside, and essentially I would describe it as a corporate welfare or slush fund approach, where you have individual businesses going to apply to the city, and having politicians unfortunately being in a position on this board to have to pick winners and losers in private business. My thinking is that if we have money like that hanging around at the city, it should be more broadly spent on broad tax relief so that everyone is able to appreciate it rather than the case of your application on hand. Anyway, those are two things that I've been working on your behalf as your city councillor, and maybe if there's any questions tonight, I'd be happy to field them. Yeah, please go ahead.
I can't help it. $270,000 for a biking and walking guide. How can they justify that in this day and age, right now? Right now.
So I think you're referring to one of the positions, let's say the coordinator of walking.
Yes.
With
For
this position,
$135,000.
and I believe it paid up to approximately $135,000 plus benefits and other pieces. Yeah, absolutely. I think that the city needs to be revisiting positions like this. Do we have to fill them? Can we defer the spending to future years? I would want to make sure that positions like these are well quantified and qualified, that there's a clear deliverable on what they're hoping to achieve. There is some pieces of the city's work along that lines that I would defend. Say there's a lot of issues around, say, pedestrian mobility, access, stuff like that. But I would argue that we should be taking a really hard look at all of these positions and ensuring that there's really a clear line of sight between the money going in and what the community benefit is. I absolutely agree. Yeah, Maxine.
Regarding the Haysboro LRT, I use it quite often, and I find it doesn't get cleaned enough, so it doesn't smelling quite perfectly throughout the week. It's been better since I mentioned it to you a few months back. But is there something, like how often does it get cleaned? I have no idea, but it would be nice to, although it's an older facility, still maintain it, right? I know we can't develop it right now, there's no cost for that, and I don't expect it to be, but to have it clean would be nice.
Absolutely, and in urban studies, there's this idea called the broken window theory, where basically if you have something left in a state of disrepair, if you have it messy, people don't take care of it the way that they would. So sometimes being much more proactive and addressing these issues quickly means that things don't get so bad that it's much more costly down the road. So I really appreciate you flagging it for me. I know that your community association really has some exciting ideas around that corridor in particular. I know that
And that's all development, I'm more thinking short term.
yeah, so there's long-term and medium-term approaches. In the short term, though, I always make sure that they get your notes when you send them to me. So at a minimum, though, if you guys see issues like that, bring them to my attention, and I'm happy to advocate on your behalf to make sure that they're addressed. Great, thank you so much for the opportunity to speak. I'll be hanging out for a little bit longer, and give me a shout anytime if I can be of help. If you want to reach me directly, it's ward11@calgary.ca. Thanks again, guys.
And that's it. So, except that we actually just still do need a motion to adjourn. Unless there's,
I'd like to direct something to Miriam, if I could, please.
yeah, you sure can.
Okay. Dear Money Lady, thank you for 23 years of dedicated service to our wonderful community. Over the years, you have become more adept at finding and rooting out funding sources for improvements to our community. Through your years of hard work and commitment, to our Haysboro community. You have sourced funding for everything from our recent building and playground updates to ensuring that all of our financial undertakings and records are maintained appropriately. There simply aren't enough words to thank you for all of your years of dedicated service to our community. So all I can say is thank you, Miriam. We are so grateful.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart.
Okay, this is the good part. We get to have a motion to adjourn the meeting and then head to the lounge for some complimentary beverages and snacks. So may I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I motion to adjourn the 2019 AGM.
Thank you, Stephen. Can I have a second? Jason, thank you so much. Sorry, I know those others raising your hands, so just Stefan doesn't have to figure out your last name. All in favor? Thank you so much for attending. We'll see you in the lounge.